So Carlos Ulberg, we'll start with him. First fight in the UFC. What approach do you take to guiding him through this?
Yeah, like I've stated previously, Carlos is a little bit. Carlos is going to do some learning on the job, which the likes of Kai and Brad and all my other fighters, we did all of that outside of the UFC. Carlos is probably the first guy that's going to do a lot of learning on the job. So I need the right opponents, and by that, by no means I mean the easiest opponents. I mean opponents that can offer him different kinds of looks. The tall guy, the short guy, the grappler, the wrestler, the jiu-jitsu expert. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do with the matchups, as I'm trying to get him this diverse group of guys, so that by the time we start looking at getting into top 15, top 10, we've kind of seen a whole lot of different experiences. So this guy fits perfectly in line with kind of, that kind of theory in terms of my matchmaking and stuff. Really tall guy, stand-up guy, a little bit awkward, kind of like karate style, mixed with some other stuff. He's a great riddle for Carlos to solve, and more importantly for him to get experience.
And obviously Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to be the guy Carlos steps in against. Were there any other names brought up as potential opponents?
Yep, there are a few.
Do you know any of them?
I'm not going to name them.
Okay.
Yep.
Then why was Kennedy the best one?
I felt that I liked that Carlos was giving away some reach and height, because he's invariably going to be doing that in this division. Carlos is quite a big guy, but some of these guys are proper, they're like huge. And in Carlos's kickboxing career, he didn't fight that many people that were bigger than him. He fought a couple, and he was quite successful against them, which is good signs for us. But yeah, that was the main reason I chose this opponent. Yeah.
And he's fighting on a very big card for his debut. Obviously, you feel like Carlos is ready for that sort of limelight.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty crazy that there's fighters that go in almost their whole entire career and not get to go on a pay-per-view of this magnitude. So obviously, just a bit of help, a bit of using the influence that we have, kind of pushed him onto this card. But he won't. Look, like I said, he's doing some learning on the job, but don't forget that this kid has had a contract in China with one of the biggest organizations, where they fill stadiums up with 20,000 people, 25,000 people, 30,000 people. So those crowds are bigger than some of the UFC crowds. So he's been the main event, and he's felt the pressure of the crowd and stuff, and all the Chinese media and stuff. So in terms of that, I think he'll be fine. In terms of the occasion, I think where he needs to work on his mentality is this is your first fight in the UFC. You need to release yourself of any expectations that are holding you back and just flow through the fight.
How much do you think that sort of the pressure of fighting for a Dana, for a contract, was that almost like a perfect preparation in terms of preparing him for this one?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, because that's proper pressure. I actually felt the pressure of that one compared to a normal fight.
Yeah.
Like Kai fights, Shane fights, and we win and we lose, and then we come back and we fight again. Carlos is we lose, that's it. Then you're talking about another 2 or 3 years to even get another shot at getting it. And everything that we've been working for is down the drain. I went through this with Kai before he got on the UFC, where we had to take heaps of fights outside the UFC, but the second we lost one of those fights, we were buggered. We had to go back. It would have taken us years to build him up again. It took us years to build him up from his one loss that he had in Japan. So it was the same thing with Carlos. It was everything that Carlos had done in his life to lead him to that point was resting on that one result. And that's pressure. Carlos felt the pressure, the team felt the pressure, Israel felt the pressure, Brad felt the pressure, I felt the pressure. So to have to deal with that and be triumphant is going to be, really, really valuable for this fight.
Just from the boys, the three, Israel, Brad, and Carlos, the time they spent over in Atos, can you sort of see a significant improvement in their work on the ground, and their grappling and stuff, like since they've been back?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, all they did there, and to be honest, they don't seldom get a chance to funnel everything down into one specific part of the sport, but all they did there was grapple and do jiu-jitsu twice a day with some of the, with the best team in the world, with some of the best guys in the world.
Yeah.
So you put yourself in that environment, you put yourself in the frying pan like that, like it's going to be tough. I mean, all of them, none of them will tell you that they gained any ascendancy in any of those roles and stuff. But they got better 100%, and I saw that straight away. Yeah, and it's, it wouldn't be any different from grabbing a first 15 player and chucking him in the All Black environment. He's, he's going to suffer. He's not going to be able to keep up. But when he comes out of that, he's going to be awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Have you managed to have a chat with Dan since Sunday?
Small chat. Dan is not the most talkative guy when he wins.
Yeah.
So when he loses, he's definitely not too talkative. But yeah, we've exchanged a few words. But Dan, for the most part, was a guy that you kind of just leave him and he introspects, and then when he's ready, he comes back and starts climbing the ladder again. So I did hear he's already back. He's already found a gym in Dubai and he's already training and stuff. So that's a typical Dan response.
He's kept us all everyone guessing with the whole gloves thing. Do you have any insight on that or any explanation on it?
Well, I feel like knowing Dan's personality, I feel like he wants to leave it like it is.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Yeah. That's why I'm like, shit, I don't know. He could have retired. That's up to him. He'll answer that. Yeah. I have my suspicions on which way he's going, but I've kind of left it a mystery because I feel that's what he's doing.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you're not going to get my confirmation on that. Yeah.
But it seems like, I think everyone would be shocked if he did. I think everyone understands, like, the immediate emotions to a result, like could be in play here. And when you look at just the division, it's so stacked that at the same time it opens up a quick path. There's a lot of big fights on the table, it would seem, for Dan. Should he want them?
Yeah, absolutely. But people need to understand the highs and lows of the sport, and the highs are unbelievable, but the lows are dark. The lows are real dark. And how long do you want your life to reflect those highs and lows? Because you live that's the kind of line that you live on, the highest of the high and the lowest of the low. And as a human being, as a man, you can do that for a while, but every fighter eventually, it starts to weigh on you.
Yeah.
It starts to weigh on you. You just want to live a normal life.
For sure.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I at some stage I'll talk to Dan about that, but also I think that's something that he should probably respond to and talk about. Yeah.
Now onto Kai, obviously a little bit of a setback in the last one. He's sort of on that sort of roller coaster in the flyweight division at the moment. Just how has that been to kind of guide him through the ups and downs, just like you were talking about?
Yeah, Kai's results are reflective of that division. They're all so good at the top end. You can Kai can, any of the guys that Kai's lost to, he can fight tomorrow and win. There's nothing that separates the competitors in the top 15. They're all so good. Number 15 could challenge the champion and be the champion very easily. So his results are just reflective of that. It's just reflective of the level of competition, and that all it really takes is a small lapse of concentration, a small mistake, and the result doesn't go your way. So, Kai's very aware of the level of competition that he's in and how it's such a tight race, and he knows that it just has to be perfect. He has to be perfect. It's the only way to get a result in that division. You make one mistake, like you're looking at another L, and you know, because he knows that, that's what gives him his super sharp focus and stuff. That's why he's one of the most professional guys in the gym. He likes to take care of every single little detail so that he can things fall in his favour. Yeah.
And Rogério Bontorin been around a little while. Just
Yeah.
what do you make of that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I like the matchup. Like I said, you know, when you get a matchup, when Kai gets a matchup in the flyweight division, and it's like, I have the same reaction. I'm like, man, you know, like another killer. You're like, you know, there's no like, oh, this guy, that'll be a good fight for us. It's like, oh man, just can't get a break. But the reality is, you don't get a break. They're just all so good. So doesn't make a difference. You get a match, you take it. They're all killers. So it's like, but I like the match. The guy is the same height as Kai, which is like, man, I don't know. Has Kai ever fought someone who's the same height as he? Fought one guy in his amateur days who was shorter than him, and I wasn't around then. I wasn't Kai's coach then, but I need to look at that fight to see how Kai reacted, because we've just made a career of fighting taller guys so far. So this guy's apparently the same height, so that'll be a new experience, and one we have to, like, you know, we have to be really acutely aware of that. Like, you know, Kai normally punches up. Like, punching the same level or lower is a completely different detail. Yeah.
Do you have anyone in the gym that you can kind of prepare for that?
Luckily we do. Luckily we do have a little midget crew that surround themselves around Kai. And yeah, a really good group of guys. Some really good amateurs, semi-professionals, and a couple of professionals. That's kind of Kai's crew. They've been getting thumped by Kai, and they've been thumping Kai back for the last 4 or 5 years. And yeah, they're part of Kai's success, to be honest, because they give Kai so many different looks. Yeah, so we do have some people that will be pretty good at imitating a shorter little flyweight.
Sweet. And just on, obviously, the Israel card and Volkanovski's a few weeks later, are you planning on hanging around overseas, or will you be coming back, or what's your plan around that? Is there a plan around that?
The truth is that I have a voucher to get back straight after Israel's fight, which is fantastic, and we were only able to do that because they gave us quite a bit of notice for Israel's fight. I know that Brad will also be fighting in March. I don't have a date for him yet. I know that Alex and one of my other fighters will be fighting on, I know I have another fighter fighting on Alex's card, as well as Alex, but I don't have a voucher that can get me back in any decent amount of time, just because they didn't give us enough notice. So I'm looking at like the end of April, May at a voucher, and to be fair, I cannot stay there from late February to late April, May. It's just not logistical. I can't be away from home for that long. So it's going to leave me in an unfortunate situation where I probably are going to have to come home, unless I can somehow secure a voucher coming back just right at the end of March or early April. But it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that, so we're going to have to just plan around that. Yeah, crazy.